Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go. Kevin here, top 100 financial advisor and best-selling author. We are here to talk about the stock market. We need to discuss the truth about compounding interest and how it works. And I say this because I saw this tweet the other day on Instagram. And for those that may be listening on podcasts, I'll read it out and then we need to go through this because there was a lot of issues. Not with the tweet. Not with the tweet at all, but with a lot of the comments. So let's go ahead and just break this down into 3 parts. So I'll read it out. A 30-year-old married couple has an annual income of $100,000. They invest $20,000 annually in their Roth 401k. That is a key distinction there. Then they say at age 59 and a half, basically 60, but at age 59 and a half, they have $3.3 million invested. They'll withdraw 4% annually or $132,000 tax-free, middle-class millionaires in the making. So there's a lot going on here that we need to break down, and I'm actually going to show you the math as to exactly why this is true and exactly how this works. So the first thing here, you make $100,000, you invest $20,000 a year. Now, key word here is they're married, so you're really putting in $10,000 per person. That is doable. However, for those that say, hey, $20,000 is too much, rent is too high, it's too hard to, pay student loans and pay a mortgage and all that kind of stuff, that's all fair and true. However, if you invest $5,000 a year, if you invest $10,000 a year, I don't care if you invest, $800 a year, it is still going to be better to invest and grow your money at whatever rate than doing nothing. Okay, I understand 20,000 sounds like a lot, but you can actually break it down, and you can also include, because it's a 401k, a company match. So if you put in 10,000, perhaps your company is putting in 5. That's 15,000. 15,000 is better than 0. Okay, so that's one thing here. Now the other thing is a Roth 401k. Now a lot of people were saying, well, you can only put in $6,000 into a Roth IRA. Yes, that's true, and limits are going to go up next year, but it's a Roth 401k, so you can put in $20,500, and again, each of these limits do increase ever so often, every 2 or 3 years or so. So yeah, you can put in $20,000 or more currently into a Roth 401k. And a Roth 401k, just like a Roth IRA, are accounts that are after tax. I mean, you've already paid, you get your paycheck, you've already got tax, and what you have left, you're putting into a Roth 401k or Roth IRA. Once you turn 59 and a half, based on your income, you're able to withdraw that money that's grown tax-free for all this time. You take it out and not pay taxes because you paid taxes early. You already paid taxes on it. Why they call it post-tax. Now, I've got other videos where I go through and discuss how Roth IRAs and everything works and the importance of those. But let's go ahead and continue here with the tweet. At age 59 and a half, that's when you can withdraw all of this stuff tax and penalty free. That's why they chose that age. But I'm going to round it up for 30 just for math purposes. Let's just say it's 60 here. They're $3.3 million. Now, the beauty of this and how compounding interest works and math, I was a 7th grade math teacher, is that you can kind of work backwards and see exactly what the return is here. And we'll do that. Let's go ahead and just do that now. So I'm here on investor.gov. You can type in compounding interest calculator. This is the first search result that came up for me. And let's start here to give you exactly how this works. So I'm going to start off with a $0 investment. Okay, I'm starting off with nothing. My monthly contribution, if I'm doing $20,000, is going to give me $1,667. We're going to round up here. Okay. All right. Length of years. They started at 30 in this example, and we are going to continue investing. There we go. So at age 60, that's 30 years. You start at 30, you end at 59 and a half, which is going around to 60. That's going to give you 30 years. Now, the estimated annual interest rate in this example is 10%. Now, the stock market, when we say stock market, we mean the S&P 500, for more than 50 years has gained an average of 7 to 10%. Okay, so I'm going to start off with 10. I'm going to show you the difference between 7 and 10% because it is quite large. But in this case, to get their $3.3 million, they did a 10% return. I personally think that's a little high. I like to go with 6.5 or 7. But in any case, we're going to go with 10 now just to show you how to get these numbers. And then we're going to go down and hit calculate. Now, before I hit calculate, I want to say this because people did not understand what compounding interest was, because one person said, well, that's only $600,000. There's no way you can get $3.3 million because you're investing $20,000 a year for 30 years. That doesn't make any sense. Again, compounding interest means that your money makes more money. So I'm investing $20,000, then I get 10%, and then that 10% and that $20,000 gets compounded, and which means that the 10% grows another 10%, and the 20,000 grows another 20%, and we just keep going and going and going and going. It's really like a snowball, and the further down the hill it goes, the larger it becomes. It compounds on itself, and that is the beauty of compounding interest. If you're investing, it's terrible if you're talking about student loans or credit cards because it can also work against you. But on the investing side, let's go ahead and look at it. So you will go ahead and hit calculate, and feel free to do this with me. Go ahead and calculate, and there's calculating for us here, and boom, $3,290,000. I'm sorry, $3,290,538.43. That is how you can have $3.3 million by investing $20,000 a year for 30 years. Now, that math all shakes out, okay? I'm going to go here and show you the table if you are still not believing the proof that you see here. So you can go to the table and it'll show you here in year one. Again, it's, I'm not adding the additional change. So the 1667, after year one, you put all that in, you get the 20,004. Okay. Then in year two, we invested at 20,000. Then we got that 10% plus another 20,000. That's why you have the 42 instead of just 40,000. Then year three, it compounds again. Now you got 66,000. And by year five, you're already at $122,000 in just 5 years because of compounding interest. And then you keep going, and y'all see the point here as you go and go and go. These things really start to add up pretty quickly. Then year 30, you get basically the $3.3 billion. Now also turn your attention here where you see the 600,000. That's where you get the 600,000 from, because the 20,000 by itself, if you were not investing or you were just putting this into a savings account and not into the stock market, not into index funds, you're only going to get the 600,000, which is still good. Okay. Like I'll take 600,000, but if I had a choice to invest the money or leave it in the bank, that's 600,000 compared to basically 3.3 million. Now, criticisms of this. One, the stock market is not going to get you 10% every year. Okay, that's the fact. We've seen this in 2022. It didn't get us 10%. In fact, it was negative. However, when you average the returns out, 7 to 10 is what it's going to shake out to be. So what is the difference between 10%, which I think is optimistic, to something that's a little more realistic is, let's say, 7%. So if I scroll up, come all the way back up here and put in 7%, that's the year. So we go 7%. A little bit more conservative in this instance, and hit calculate. It's going to give me about 1.8 million, I think. Yep, 1.8 million, almost 2 million in this instance. So what your return is absolutely matters. But again, it's an average. Not every single year is going to get you exactly 10% or 7% for that matter. In either case, I'm taking 1.8 million. I'll take 1.3 million. I'm taking it. Okay. Now the other part here is, again, what if you don't have the, $1,600 to invest every month? Remember, you can still count your employer's contribution, because if it's an IRA, a Roth 401k, that is an option depending on what company you work for. So maybe you're putting in 500, they're putting in the other 5. In either case, 1,000 is still better than 0. That is the main thing here. And don't always get caught up, well, I can't afford to invest $500 a month. Okay, don't. Invest $50 a month. Invest $50 a week. And I'll show you what that is here. If you scroll up and type in just $200 a month, that is $50 a week. That is it. $50 a week for 30 years. Calculate that. Did I put in 50 or 500? Let me double check that real quick. There we go. That's $50 a month. $200 is $50 a week. Now you hit calculate. And there you go. You got $226,000. Still better than 0. Okay, that's the main thing here. Is anything is better than 0. I'll take $226,000 if all I can do is afford investing $50 a week for 30 years, right? Now, if you also say, well, I can't invest $50 a week, then try 25, right? Do whatever it is that fits your budget. And I would strongly urge you to find ways to increase your income. The job market is hot. We talked about this yesterday. If you haven't checked that video out, you definitely want to check yesterday's video out, because right now, this it's not going to be forever, it's 1.7 jobs in the U.S. for every one person. It is still a competitive job market. So this is the time to get that raise. This is the time to negotiate for that signing bonus or whatever it is you want to shoot for to get more money to be able to invest more. But again, would you rather have 200,000, or would you rather complain and not do anything and just say, well, I don't have anything, and just sit there, right? $100 a month still adds up. $200 a month still adds up. And obviously $1,600 a month still adds up. All right. So let's go to the last part of the tweet, and I'll put the tweet back up here until I find it and read it. All right. So this one says they'll withdraw 4% annually at $132,000 tax-free. Now, remember, inside of any of your Roth accounts, Roth IRA, Roth 401k, you're putting money in after tax. You've already paid taxes on it. And the beauty of it is at 59.5, you can withdraw that money tax-free. But why are they withdrawing just 4%? This is called the 4% rule. The reason why you want to do that, or at least consider doing, you don't have to, is because if the market is growing at 10%, in this example, I prefer 7, but aside from that, let's say the market is growing at 10% and you're taking off 7, you're not losing money. That means your principal stays the same, right? And that 3% is supposed to factor in inflation. 2022, inflation is well beyond that. But again, this is taking averages, not going to stay at this percentage level forever. But if I am making 10% every year and I'm only taking out 7, at the end of the day, when I'm gone and I pass on stuff to my kids, they basically are going to get the $3 million, and I got to live off $130,000 a year. The beauty of this, inside of all of this, is that based on the example that we had in the beginning, you had $100,000 to start with. You're already living on $100,000. So in retirement, I get to live off $132,000, which is going to feel a little bit extra if I'm just looking at the monetary number here. But basically, you are getting to live your life like you normally would in this case scenario, right? After 30 years, if you have a mortgage, it's usually paid off. You have student loans, I pray to God those are paid off at that point in time. But you don't have the exact same bills. You're not going to work. You're not spending gas going to and from work all the time. And you've got $132,000 to spend every single year without losing the $3 million that you've worked so hard to get. Now, someone else in the comments said, well, that sounds poor, right? I did all this stuff and I only get to withdraw 4%. Well, I would withdraw 10%. You are more than welcome to withdraw 10% a year, but you are running the risk of cutting down on that principal, especially in a down market. So if the market is down 10% or 12% like it is so far in 2022, and then you withdraw 10% on that, then you're really reducing the balance of your account. Yes, the market should recover in time, but you're really running, either staying absolutely stagnant or reducing that principal. When you start to reduce that principal, you run the risk of running out of money completely. Still a low risk, but it is still a risk. So that is why we have the 4% rule. And essentially it says you get to run your life like you do today without running out of money. That is the whole point of investing, by putting your money into the market, allowing it to grow, and then take care of you. And you leave that nest egg, that's the word everybody use, to take and pass on to the next generation. So even if so let's say I'm only doing the $50 a week, $200,000, I'm using that, perhaps I'm using Social Security and some other income sources or what have you. At the end of the day, taking $200,000 and say, hey, split it between my 2 kids and you both get to start off with $100,000, that is more than doing nothing. Right? And the compounding interest is going to do more for them, and it did more for me than doing nothing at all, right? Or complaining and not finding a way to be creative and do whatever it is that you can. That's why I talk so much about fractional shares. I didn't have $100 to start investing, right? It was a struggle for me when I was a teacher, a math teacher at that, in Dallas, Texas, to figure out what I had, because it was a small salary, what I had to start investing, because rent was high and I had my own apartment for the first time. I had to pay the whole bill, right? Phone bill, all that kind of stuff. Figure out what you can do. Figure out what you can do. I don't care if it's $25 a week, right? Whatever it is starts to grow. And as you improve your situation, find better income sources, improve your skills, that money can increase, okay? But at the end of the day, whether it's 200,000 or 3 million, this is how finance works, and particularly this is how compound investing works. The last thing I will say here is this. whether it's 10% or 7%, or anywhere in between. This is why choosing your investments is important. So in this example, this would just represent the S&P 500, something like ITOT. That's a stock symbol for those that may be new. Like and subscribe if you're new. But you type that into any of your investing apps. One of my favorite apps is Public. I'll make sure that's in the link below. It's a referral link there, so you'll get like, I don't know, $10 or $20 to start. In either case, that's what has gotten people the 7 to 10% on average the last 50 some odd years. Okay. However, if you want to be more aggressive, which means you're taking on more risk, stocks that we've talked about, right? I talk about this inside of our members only all the time, whether it's a stock like AutoZone or O'Reilly that's averaging this year 25%, it gets you there a lot faster, right? So that's another